guys, we've got puppy training today with Maverick, and Maverick is a 8 to 10-week-old black lab. Despite all the other information you'd see out there, you can start training as early as 8 weeks. It's really going to benefit you to start training early so that way you can get all those rules established before the dog becomes an adolescent and you start to struggle with hormones. All right, guys, like I said, we've got puppy training today, so check it out. Tell me what you think.
Okay, so picking my battles. Why am I picking my battles versus trying to like mark every box with a check mark? Because he can't handle it right now. You know, he's gonna go from thing to thing to thing, and you have just daughters. Okay. Are any of them 12 and over? Great. Foreshadowing for you specifically. I have one sister, and then I have a stepsister. And I've seen this between teenage girls and moms. They do this thing where the mom says fine and the daughter says fine. And then the mom says fine again and the daughter says fine. And you guys kind of play volleyball back and forth with each other. And that's what it's like when you're starting to hammer little things with a puppy, is you're just having a meltdown.
How rude.
And free. So what I want to do, good job, buddy, is create a base layer on things first and then start to polish things up as we go. So now, like with the chewing on the leash, he's going to chew on it right now. We're going to correct him for it, but we're not going to make it like a finite issue where I'm like, you better stop it or we're not training anymore. Like I may correct him for it and then he may do it a second later and I don't correct him for it. Okay. We're going to get this better with time. The best thing that you can do is go slow with this. Okay? You ready, bud? Come on. There you go. Good job. Way to go, buddy. And like I said, with starting with a dog this young, there's really no like thing that you should be afraid of. It's just understand that your expectations should start to change. Okay. Like you should have a little bit lower expectations as far as long-term compliance, sure, and really build that through the repetitions. Okay. Because there are a lot of trainers out there that tell a lot of nonsense as far as like, oh, you can't train a dog until they're 7 months.
Excuse me.
There's nothing ever been written about that. Not only that, what will we have done when we actually use dogs for the purpose that they're designed for? We go, oh, gotta wait a year before we can actually eat. Sorry, guys. What? You start at 8 weeks. That's typically when I start. And you have a better chance of dealing with 7 to 8 to 9 months or even a year old, because in the first year of a dog's life, actually the first 2 years of a dog's life is actually 15 years of our life. They go from toddler or infant into toddler, into small child, into velociraptor, which is adolescent, and then to the adult at 18 months to 2 years. So they're going through a lot and you're kind of traveling with them on it. But if you have obedience from the start, then when you get to that teenage stage when it's chaotic, you're not fumbling, crying, dying miserably inside because your dog is a menace. Yeah. Because you've already established those boundaries. Good job, buddy. Free. You're going to make me look like a dog whisperer, even those aren't real. Place. Good job, you little raptor. Keep those piranha teeth to yourself. So place command. So place command can kind of serve as a kennel without walls. It can be a great thing for you guys when you're like sitting down watching TV or sitting down and having dinner. You guys can have him on his place, have him on the lead, and he can observe you guys having dinner together or watching a show together, but he doesn't have to be on top of us. This is a big thing that people struggle with. They want to do play first and they want to do affection first, like such as the couch or things like that. And you can do that if you'd like. But for me, I want to create control first before I focus on play. Because play right now with him, and if we don't create control, play with him turns into like playing with a piranha. And the same token is like relaxing with him is like relaxing with a piranha outside of water. It's just chaos. So let's create the control first, and then he can go into earning those fun things that we want to do with him. Okay? Free, buddy. Place. Good job. Good boy. And so I'm saying place as I'm about to get him on there.
Okay.
That's very important for you to recognize, because I'm not saying place back there and he's doing it on his own volition and hopping up there. I'm saying place as we're moving together and he's about to jump on there.
Okay.
The reason I'm doing that is because if I say it back there, we know this is, I mean, it's 4 feet,
Yeah.
4 feet away from the platform, and I say it. Out of 10 times, he'll get on there maybe once on his own, maybe half of a repetition. I don't think he'll get on there at all, because he doesn't know what place means.
Yeah.
And so I want to set him up for success. Think of like every repetition that you do with him, am I setting him up for success?
Okay.
Because even though I teach you how to correct dogs, and I correct all of my dogs, the only way they repeat behavior is if they win. Just like your kids. Like if you're reading with them, and I said this analogy today with a mom, and she was like, clearly had never seen Billy Madison.
Oh.
Yeah, her loss. Like when you're teaching a child to read, you're not doing the Billy Madison.
Today, Junior.
Good night, moon. Like that's what my son wants to read right now. But you're not like slamming them for not being able to read. And in the same token with him, I'm not going to put this out there if his girlfriend's out there, because he's going to fail and he's going to get a lot of corrections because of that distraction or that stimulation. Now, asterisk to that, we will get there. We're not there on the first day.
Right.
We're not there on the first week, but we will get there.
Okay.
One of the things that people say about my training the most is A, it's boring, and B, you really hammer delayed gratification.
Okay.
And that is one of the things that, and you can maybe attest to this as a mom with kids, in this time period right now. Delayed gratification, kids and dogs are the ones that suffer the most from that. Because us, the adults who are like, we can get anything we want instantly, we kind of shorten our expectation for where our kids should be, where our dogs should be. And it's so damaging to both ends. Now you're like having a total ayahuasca moment, and you're like thinking about all the areas where you've definitely been short with your kids. I'm doing like the same recap on my son. So, okay, so now I'm going to remove the lure, and I'm going to say the word as we're about to jump up there. Maverick, place. Good. It would be really silly for me to assume that he knows what that sound means. I think we've probably done 5 repetitions with him. He doesn't know what that means. Okay? So I'm not going to take off the lead, and I'm definitely not going to say place from the other side of the house and expect him to run and jump on here. I'm going to lead him to this, and I'm going to say it right before he jumps up there. We can absolutely teach him to go to his place, but we need to teach him what place is first. Okay? So I made you put this fancy leash on him. Okay? Part of my whole linear process to training is pressure should be a scale. So the correction method that I use in this leash is made of elastic and fabric. When I teach him the boundaries and I correct him for this is going to be very forgiving. And it's not because I'm a pushover, because I've trained a lot of non-pushover dogs, and I train a lot of really rough dogs all the time. I want to build a good base layer with the dog. And if you're coming out really strong, there's really only 2 responses you can have out of the dog. The dog shutting down or the dog fighting. Those are the only 2 responses, especially if they don't know what they're supposed to do. Yeah. So if I came out and let's say, a prong collar, it's a totally appropriate tool for the situation. If I was like, you know what, Maverick, you're not laying down here on the platform like I want you to do 5 repetitions in. And you know what? I decide to jump to higher pressure. He would probably be terrified of the platform after a couple of corrections and want to avoid it like the plague. Or he would just splat to the ground and then never move because he doesn't want to get corrected again. Neither of those things is learning. Learning comes through lots of repetitions. If you remember on our call, we talked about 5 months to 9 months of accountability. Yeah. That's going to be huge for you guys. And that's 5 months to 9 months of you guys, of the family, giving direction to Maverick, rather than Maverick making good decisions on his own with the ability to make those decisions, direction from you guys. Okay? So pressure is a scale. That means It can go up if necessary, and it can go down if necessary. If the situation dictates that we need more pressure to get him to do the right thing, then we use more pressure to get him to do the right thing. Okay? But you have to make sure that he knows what you're asking him to do before you lean on that pressure. Okay? That's where a lot of people. Last week, I did an event down in Webster at the Hawken House, and my dog was sitting up there on her platform for 5 hours. There's people walking around drinking wine, and I'm wearing Wranglers and boots, and they're all dressed real nice, and I'm talking about dog training. And one of these ladies is like, my dog walks terribly, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not surprised. Most people's dogs do. And she's like, is that a prong collar? Does my dog need a prong collar? I'm like, I mean, it might, but have you taught your dog to listen on the leash in the first place? And she's like, well, now that you say that, I don't think so. And I'm like, right. So let's teach them to learn how to listen to us on the leash first before we implement pressure. Because pressure, it's like getting mad at your kids for something you didn't tell them they shouldn't do. It's irrational, and it's just not fair. So it's no different with a dog. So I've got the slip lead on him this week. More than likely, we'll use this for a week or two, and we'll find that you'll go, hey, Brandon, the slip lead's broken, or Maverick's broken. We need something more. And part of how I can train puppies for an hour is because I break and I teach you things in the repetitions, and I don't just do 60 repetitions in 60 minutes. You ready, bud? All right, let's go. Come on. Place. Good job, buddy. So when I talk about winning, what you want to think about is you want to think about the equation of 80-20. And if you're familiar at all with human psychology, they talk about, for humans, 85% of your tasks during the day need to be easy tasks. So like if you're a button pusher or, some kind of whatever job you have to have 85% of that task that you get in that job to be easy for you to repeat it. That's what they say in psychology. They say if it's too much challenge, you're not going to want to do it. And so they have it set up for humans. And so 85-15 is how they have it set up for humans. 15% of our tasks are challenging, but 85% of our tasks are easy that we can win at. With a dog, and I think this should be the same for humans as well, 80% of the tasks are easy, 20% of the tasks are challenging. So think about that like as you guys are training. Right now, we've kind of got a couple of family members here, but we don't have everybody here. Not only that, but in a couple months, we're going to have holidays. So we're probably going to have more people over here at the house. And that'll add more distraction and more stimulation for Maverick to do the right thing. It's not that we just throw away training in general, but we change our expectations or our attention based on the distraction or the stimulation level. Part of why we train here in the house for the first lesson instead of out there is because he's going to get distracted by a strong breeze going from left to right. And he's going to get corrected as a result of that strong breeze. And it's not that we're avoiding corrections, is that we're avoiding unnecessary challenge while we're teaching. Okay? It's like if you remember like the ACT or those standardized tests, if your employer was like standing in there like arms crossed and they're like, if you don't pass this test, you'll never work for me. And you're like, I don't even know who you are. But you're so nervous because they're pushing all that pressure on you. It's no different than that. I want him to succeed, so I'm going to give him an opportunity to succeed. Okay? So 80-20 on that. Now, even though Maverick is being the perfect angel right now and he's just hanging out on that platform, this doesn't mean he knows anything. So my brain, I'm going to go, Maverick is going to do the wrong thing, and I'll be surprised by him doing the right thing. So every time I approach a session with him, I want to expect to have to teach him what the right thing is and be surprised by him doing the right thing. Rather than expecting him to do the right thing, let's be surprised by that. Okay? So I need to teach him the boundaries because so far we've gotten place and sleep. And so place and sleep is not what I teach. It's place, and then place means stay on your place. Okay? So I'm going to free him. Maverick, free. Wakey, wakey, bud. Good job, cutie. No, this is work time, bud. Okay, come on. Place. Good boy. So Now we've walked towards it, we've said place, he's hopped up there, but what if I walk this way and I don't say that magic F word? Nope, place. So I gave him a little pop there, probably the wimpiest pop he's gotten. He looks clearly just devastated, he's never going to recover. Somebody call PETA. In the arms of the angel. And now I'm going to walk this way again. Nope, place. Good. I popped a little bit harder that time. Let's see if he steps off again. Good job, buddy. Now, was that the biggest win in the world? No, absolutely not. Was that the Super Bowl? Absolutely not. That is what you build from. Okay? So like I said, a lot of my clients will say, like, you're either my kid's age or you're not that old. How are you so like gung-ho on like stopping delayed gratification? Because everybody that knows what Amazon Prime is struggles with delayed gratification. So you could be 60 or you could be, how old are you? 8, and struggle with delayed gratification. And so does he know that if I walk this way that he should stay up there? Maybe in this moment, but the only way I'm going to get him better and be able to hold it longer is through those repetitions, is through those small wins. But what I am measuring here, what am I using as a criteria to kind of check his compliance with this is 3 things. Distance, so how far away from Maverick can I be and he complies with the command. This lead is about 4.5, 5 feet long, so I could probably get to 5 feet away from him and he complies right now. Duration is at how far, for how long does he comply with the command. And then the last one is the biggest one and it's probably the most important, and that's just, dude, how you need to learn how to take a treat, dude. There you go. Distraction is the most unique one because it can be how many people are in the house, what room of the house we're in, the time of day, inside the house, outside the house, Home Depot, PetSmart, all of those things. For a short while in 2020, and actually there's a lot of trainers that still do this to this day, they'll offer online training. They'll do log into my website, pay blah, 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 blah. I'll save you something. And if you're watching this and you don't train with me, go to my YouTube channel. It's literally free. Start to end. You can do it if you want. That's fine. Anybody can do it. The difference between me being there and you watching the video is there's a whole lot of context. What if your dog doesn't do this? Well, that's why you hire a trainer. But like they'll do this virtual or online dog training. They did this in 2020, like to the wazoo. I trained dogs through 2020 and I couldn't do it without being there with the dog. And the reason that I had to be there with the dog was because I had to be able to see you correct with the lead. I had to be able to see the dog interact with me on the lead, like the feel of it, all of that stuff. And there were a lot of people that reached out to me in 2021 that were like, hey, I got my dog trained and then I went to PetSmart and my dog lost its mind. And I'm like, okay, well, where did you train? Well, we did it online and I did it behind Zoom in my office. Cool. So you taught your dog to behave in the office for that criteria. And so as soon as they left their house, the dog didn't know how to behave because they didn't teach the dog how to behave outside the house. They just expected it to work everywhere. And it doesn't. You have to teach them everywhere. And why I mentioned the holiday thing is because if you got 4 people in the house. So if you've normally got 4 and then, Thanksgiving comes up and we have 15 people in the house, it's not that we throw training away. It's that maybe we give Maverick a little bit more attention. Maybe we do what I call a little bit of umbilical cord method and attach him to our hip. So wherever we're going, he's going. If I'm cooking dinner, he's on his place command right next to me as I'm cooking dinner. So that way he doesn't have an opportunity to do something that I don't want him to do, and he's learning that obedience task. Okay? Because this is another area where a lot of people struggle, and again, I'm drawing this back to delayed gratification. It's thinking dogs naturally come out of the womb domesticated. They don't. Dogs are very, very unique in the fact that they can't survive in the wild and they don't come out domesticated. So like they legitimately need us to lead them in order to survive and have a healthy life. And so there's a huge burden on us to teach them what the right thing is. So using distance, duration, and distraction, I'm going to check and teach Maverick to stay in the command that I'm asking him to do. I didn't say stay, I said place. So the word stay, why can I not use stay with a dog? I mean, you can use it. Why will it not work with my dog? And by work, I mean every time. I don't just mean when the situation is right and everything's calm. I mean every time. Why won't it work with my dog every time? Because think about teaching dogs in other languages. My working dog is trained in German. My other dogs are trained in English. I've tried to train a dog in Chinese. I have had dogs trained in French. And I've also trained a 3-legged pit bull to jump through a tire for the word banana. Has nothing to do with the language. It has nothing to do with the definition of the words being used. It has everything to do with the pairing of the sound with the action. So if you think about the word sit, like if we ask Maverick to sit, what does he have to do? Yeah. And how does he get that treat? She's got it. An 8-year-old's got it, but there's like 30, 50, 40-year-old trainers that don't get this. And what does he have to do in that sit? Like, what does he do with his body? Yeah, but does he put his butt down? Yeah. What about if we want him to lay down? What does he have to do to get the treat? Yeah, he has to lay down, right? So those are both actions there. But if we say down and he lays down and we give him the treat, and then we say stay, what is he doing? What action is he doing? Yeah, but what action? There is no action. There's no action for stay. And so like you and I, we all understand the word wait. You know, I'm sure you've told her a million times, wait. And she's like, come on, Mom, I want to do it. We understand it because we understand language. Dogs don't understand language. They understand sounds paired with actions. A wait command or a stay command is something that we do as humans to kind of like condition ourselves not to panic in the moment we think our dog's going to do something. That's what I would argue the stay and wait are for. So I don't want to even bother with that. Let's teach him that place means place. Okay? So now that Maverick is sufficiently back asleep, now we can test him with some controlled distractions. Because if I just walk this way and Maverick's like, nah, that's not worth it. I'm going to have to get up here again anyway, so I might as well just stay here. I can take and do a controlled distraction with him. So if I take a treat, Maverick sees it, and I drop it on the floor. Nope. Maverick, nope. Place.
It's all for the treats.
Nope.
Just
Place.
the treat.
Good.
Oh,
There you go, buddy. Good, it's right here. So again, dude, he does. Nope. Place. Good. Here you go, buddy. So he's still looking for that treat. So we'll try that again. Maverick, you ate that one, you goof. Nope. Place. Good. Good boy. Right here. Okay. Here you go. He probably does. So Maverick. So if I drop that again. There you go, buddy.
Please clap.
So super important to recognize there. He probably got like 3 or 4 corrections right there.
Yeah.
He didn't cry. He didn't scream. He didn't die. He's still alive. Yes, so am I. So am I. But what happened is I was consistent. No, tug, place. And he got back up. As soon as he got back up, what did I do? Exactly. I like that you have an 8-year-old here, so that way when all the people get mad at me for tugging on the leash, I can have an 8-year-old here going, he's fine, relax.
Right?
Because so this is where people struggle. Like, well, the treat fell on the ground. It's not that big of a deal. Sure. We talked about this on our call. And people call me for all kinds of things. My dog wants to kill the neighbor. My dog wants to kill the neighbor dog. My dog wants to kill dogs on the walk. My dog's afraid to walk. My dog's afraid to do this. My dog's afraid to do that. So these are all serious situations. And we talked about kids at the restaurant as well. Kids freak out at the restaurant and act like wild animals because they can act like wild animals at home. If we want him to listen, good job, Maverick. If we want him to listen in the crazy situations, we got to get him to listen in the calm. We got to get really good in the calm before we ever go into those crazy moments. Because if we're panicking in the crazy moments, well, guess what he's doing? Panicking. So all of this is contextual. Even though this isn't the end of the world when I drop a treat on the ground, nope, place. Good job. It could turn into a situation where Maverick is trying to eat a sock, and the average cost for extraction on a sock is $3,000. So rather than spending $3,000 to get a sock removed from Maverick's stomach, let's teach him not to eat things when we don't want him to eat things. Let's teach him to hold the place command even if there is a treat on the ground. Good job, buddy. Free! Free! Maverick free! Good job, buddy. So the command to do something, the action command, we're going to say that once. The release command, we can say it 1,000,000 times. Okay. Because if he's stuck in a command, there are worse things in the world. Yeah. Okay? All right, I'm going to do it again with him. Hey, buddy, you ready? You already got it. Place. Good job. Here you go, bud. Now there's probably some people that are watching that are going to go, well, he got corrected a lot to go get the treat. Wouldn't you want to correct him less? Sure. In time. There's that delayed gratification. Just like with these guys, I'm sure you tell her half a dozen times not to do something and she keeps doing it. But she's learning. She's learning. Right, exactly. None of us learn instantly. So why do dogs have to learn instantly? Not only that, but this is a controlled situation. I have so many people reach out for me for so many different things, and I'm gonna give you a little bit of context for dog training school for a second. I didn't go to dog training school, but I know people that did. Yeah. 8 months of school, $40,000. Wow. Yeah, that's the average price for dog training school. So long story short, why I didn't go to dog training school is A, I was raised by one, and B, I figured out really quickly, oh, I don't want my dog to do this. Well, then make the situation controllable. Put a leash on the dog. Well, my dog's jumping on the counter. Cool, put a leash on the dog. Put something on the edge. Get ready to correct them when they jump on the counter. Make the situation controllable. If you make the situation controllable, then when you walk into those scary situations where you're like, oh no, what's Maverick going to do? You know exactly what he's going to do because you already ran the game. Yeah. You already ran the gauntlet with him. He knows exactly what happens when he jumps on the counter. He gets corrected. And he's like, nah, I'd rather not jump on the counter. Just like with digging in the yard. If he's digging in the yard and we make the situation controllable, we correct him when he digs, he goes, I probably don't want to dig when nobody's watching. Because he understands that there are consequences for the things that he does because we made it controllable. 8 months, $40,000. I just saved you that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Good job, buddy. Way to go. Yeah, I know. What a sweet boy. Questions so far about this?
Do you have any? No.
So you notice how I'm not like doing anything right now. Like I'm letting him kind of sniff. I'm letting him kind of look. So that's part of the teaching process. That's part of the training process. If you're a perfectionist, suck it up. This is teaching. This is learning. I'm going to give you guys a real world example with me and my working dog because I started training with her at 5 weeks. I got her at 5 weeks. We started training, and I am a perfectionist. I am a control freak, as my wife would say. Go figure. I work reactive dogs that want the control, and I'm the control freak. It's like I was made to do this. So when I got her, I was preparing to go to dog training school, and I was apprenticing at a facility. And I got her because I was going to go to school, And also because I knew I was going to start this. I was like, I can't keep working for everybody else, because like I was running that place even though I wasn't getting paid to run it. I was training most of the dogs that came in. I was selling all the dog training that came in through the door. And I was getting paid an hourly rate to train roughly anywhere from as low as 12 dogs a day to anywhere as high as 22 or 23 dogs a day. And those were half-hour lessons. And so I would come home and I would be like, don't anybody say the word dog around me for the next 8 hours. I'm going to sleep. I don't want to hear it. And I have 4 dogs at home. So guess what we talk about? Dogs. And so my little puppy, just like Maverick, had to learn what was right and what was wrong. And so I would come home and I would be so tired of dogs. And here's this cute little puppy that knows nothing and is blameless and is a clean slate and needs to learn something. And me, with my human emotions and my human expectations, I'm frustrated because I trained so many dogs that day. And so I would come home and I would be a little bit short with her. My expectations would be quick. I would be demanding. I would be, kind of stiff on the lead. And what she would do, because I teach people how to correct the mouthing and nipping stuff, I do that relatively quickly with dogs. I want to make it go away as soon as possible, because some trainers say that it'll grow out of the dog will grow out of it. Some breeds do, but I don't like to gamble. If it's a shepherding breed, if it's a pit, if it's a Rottweiler, if it's a guarding breed, so anything really that has ever had to do something, they won't grow out of it. There's no guarantee. There are some dogs, I'm sure, out there. Somebody named Francis is going to get on there and go, my German Shepherd grew out of it. Great. Yours is the one in a million that did. But I correct it right away because I don't want the dog to nip on kids, neighbor kids, anybody. I just don't want it to happen. And so for her, she wouldn't nip. She wouldn't give me a fight whenever she was feeling resistance. She would just shut down. She would just plop to the ground and not do anything. And so I say all of this to tell you that when you're training, remember you're teaching. You're showing the dog how you'd like them to be led by you. So if you've got a lot going on and you're tired, do something simple with the dog. Okay. Put them on the place, sit in the chair, them on the place, you in the chair. It's a good thing to do because all you have to do is if he gets up, no correction place. Versus like if you're trying to teach him heel or if you're trying to teach him a down and you got to do a lot of accountability there, you're going to be frustrated. It's going to come down the leash and he's going to struggle.